We're live, guys. How's it going? Happy Friday, Guru Nation. Just finished a monitoring visit yesterday and shot some videos and was able to have a couple business meetings as well um, in the evening, which was important. We had to re-strategize some of the businesses, and yeah, it was good. So this is, there's a lot that, in addition to yesterday during the day and during the monitoring visit and during the business strategy sessions, I of course check my emails, and yesterday less frequently than most, I gotta admit, but I keep getting these questions, and the same theme comes up, and I'm actually going to do a much shorter video later today before I leave on my GoPro. um, I'll probably do it outside. The view's nice right now, so I'll probably do that one outside when the sun comes up a little, on how to find internships, because a lot of the questions I've been receiving, hey Evelyn, hey Carla, how's it going? A lot of the questions I've been receiving, shout out to Carla Vera Navas, haven't seen you in a while. I know it's been too long. Evelyn, how's it going? Congrats. Big things from you, CRC Academy alumni. So I've been getting asked, and Monica's been getting asked from the CRC Academy a bunch of questions, and it's they're all related to people trying to get into the industry. But if you're somebody that's already in, it relates to you too. If you're trying to advance your career, it's this thing. I wouldn't call it, but it's more like, am I guaranteed a job if I do this? Or I've applied for even volunteering, I can't get anything back. Or I've applied to be a coordinator and I'm a foreign medical doctor and I'm not hearing back. And really what it boils down to is you're not putting yourself, for the most part, you're not putting yourself in the other stakeholders' shoes. So, and you might be going about the wrong companies. Like, you might be looking at the wrong companies. I keep talking about small is the new big. One of the reasons why I say that is because I really think that these smaller sites, it's easier to predict what they need. If you start getting into like the academic medical centers like the UCLAs and the UC San Francisco's, it gets very tough to predict what they need. I mean, every department's different. What they need are grants from NIH. What they need are grants and more studies that they actually like from industry. They need to keep their key opinion leaders busy. They need to keep the studies that they publish themselves going. It's gets way more complicated when you're somebody just trying to start out, and it doesn't become practical. There's nothing you can actually do. Those kind of places just need task doers, and what that boils down to is we need task doers, so we need somebody with experience. And that's the problem with that approach is generally the people who ask me these questions are ones who are lacking these approaches, right? Or lacking the experience. So then they try the traditional approach, which is, hey, I'm going to go to my local university and try to work there because they're prestigious and they do a lot of research. Typically, that's like the worst place to get started. I mean, you could get started there. If you end up getting your first start there, that's great. But the places to go are probably the best. And that's where you can put your value cap on and really put yourself in the mind of the person's shoes. And oftentimes on the other end of that interview is a business owner, a site owner. Maybe it's a physician who owns the research clinic. Maybe it's someone like me who owns the research clinic and is looking for more staff so that they don't have to do all the work. I mean, it's much more practical at that point if you know the business of a research site. All right, and I've done videos on this. If you know the business of a research site, which is fairly simple, it's get more studies, or in order, it's get more providers or specialists, get more studies for them, and get more patients for them. That's it. Now, what if you want to break those activities down? There's a lot there. There's biz dev. Well, biz dev for what? Well, biz dev to get more providers. Are you good at LinkedIn? Or have you developed the skill of utilizing LinkedIn to locate providers and network with people? I don't know. That's a huge value add if you volunteer that service to a site for free, in addition to in exchange for them allowing you to gain some experience on your resume. I mean, that's one aspect. We're gonna go get into more. Evelyn says there's no guarantee in the industry, but the more you network and put yourself out, the more opportunities arise. Exactly. And also while you're networking, you're building skills. For example, one network is LinkedIn. Well, it's funny how that works, but the more you use LinkedIn, the more you're getting at LinkedIn. Maybe there's some sites out there that don't have time to get on LinkedIn. Like I know a lot of site owners that don't even have a LinkedIn. Why? They don't have time. They're doing the coordinating, they're doing the clinician outreach, they're doing the patient recruitment, they're getting studies, they're going to meetings, they're looking for staff to train. They get their head in the ground, right? Like they're not looking out. The last thing they want to hear about is LinkedIn. But those same people understand that LinkedIn, or maybe you need to sell them on why LinkedIn strategy is important and why you are the person for that and risk free to them. Why? Because you're going to do it for free in exchange for allowing you to shadow as an intern and gain some experience on your resume. So that's one way, clinician outreach. Another way, maybe headhunting for coordinators. Site staff all the time, but they need experienced staff, right? They're willing to bring on brand new people if those brand new people with no experience show them that they do have some immediate value add. Because the easiest way for sites to get immediate value add is to have somebody with experience, because then it's clear, okay, this person has X number of years of coordinating experience, they know data entry, they know how to answer queries, they know how an investigator site file needs to be organized. So the site doesn't have to think, all right, what can this person do? That's immediate ROI, return on investment. If you have no experience, it gets more complicated and it causes more friction between the site and having you there. So you need to remove this friction, reduce the friction, remove the barriers by showing them other skill sets that you have that can bring immediate ROI to them, like the LinkedIn thing I just talked about, for doing community outreach to either bring new clinicians in, bring awareness of the clinic to other clinicians or coordinators, bring on experienced coordinators. This is all LinkedIn skills. All of this is LinkedIn skills. And you can merge that into Clubhouse and whatever else platforms are there, but LinkedIn's really the dominant one. That's clinician and coordinator outreach just on LinkedIn. You don't even need to leave your house to do that. All right. We're going to get into how to try to get study leads for the site too. We're going to get into how to set up a Instagram profile, how to set up a TikTok for the site, how to set up a Facebook page. Sites don't have this stuff and they understand they need it, but they don't have anyone to do it. The owner doesn't maybe have time to do it. Their existing staff don't have time to do this. This is where your value add comes in. But I can't predict what you can offer because I don't know what you like and what you have skills in. But you have to have skills in something and you have to like something. So figure out how those two things can provide some value add for a site. And if those two things that you do have can't provide value to the site, then figure out two things that you can add to your repertoire that will provide value to the site. shift into a company with limited therapeutic areas, such as Innovaderm. It focuses on dermatology therapies. I currently work as a site management association at Veristat since April, and there's a potential role of associate project manager role at Innovaderm. Yeah, generally I would say like the more the more diverse of a background you have, the better. So the problem with staying at one place too long, especially if it's one place that has you focused just on a very specific vertical, is, I mean, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to become a generalist, I do think moving on, expanding your skill set, and sometimes you don't need to leave. Sometimes you don't need to leave. You can stay where you are. Um, Veristat, I think that's a CRO, if I'm not mistaken, and Innovaderm's a sponsor. So, and I don't know anything about either of these. I really don't know anything about both of these companies. Um, on sponsors, working at sponsors, it's a bit more stable working at sponsors. A little more innovation occurs at the sponsor level. A little more. I was just talking to a couple sponsors recently with the Latinos in Clinical Research team, and we were talking about this topic actually. It's the industry. Whose responsibility is it to cultivate new talent in the industry? And the theory we came up with live during the Zoom call was, I think it's sandwiched between two extremes. The very small vendors like the CRA and CRC academies, and there's a few others on one end. These are small organizations, grassroots approach. Latinos in Clinical Research, one of it also. And the other extreme is the big sponsors, because these are the two that new talent would actually benefit them immediately. So on the small end, it benefits because obviously they get revenue, or in the case of Latinos in Clinical Research, eyeballs from providing value and servicing research naive people and bringing them into the industry. And on the other extreme, like the big sponsors, top 10, top 15, big pharma, their advantage is they need to do it. They have to do it because they constantly need new talent. They need to start figuring out how to move away from the CROs, maybe not entirely, but little by little, because the sponsors are the ones with the responsibility to have oversight over their studies. So you can't completely outsource anyways to the CROs, and you need to keep talent there at the sponsor level because they lose money and they lose opportunities when they have turnover. Uh, if you're expecting companies in the middle, like the CROs and I guess the mid-size, although the CROs are big size, but like other companies, not the small or the very large sponsors, there's no incentive for them to do this because those companies are built for maximizing ROI, and there's no advantage in them. I They falsely believe this, but I believe there is an advantage in them bringing on new talent. The key is keeping them, because the risk is they bring on research naive, they train them, so they're losing money. By the time they figure it out, they train this person to be competent. A competitor takes them and says, "Thank you for training them. We'll take them now." So it becomes imperative for that CRO, usually it's CRO, to have a retention program in place for their workforce and not to overwork them, and to cultivate a culture where people actually want to stay. Um, a lot of that's idealistic, but I see a lot of them starting to do this. But I think for the purposes of this conversation, you got to bookend it with the very small and the very big. So hopefully that answers your question. I don't know. Take everything that comes by, whether it's front desk or use your strength to get in the research clinic. Exactly. Kujal Kushal asked CRC or CDM, which have better scope. So clinical research coordinator or clinical data management. They're both very good. Data management pays more on average. CRCs can earn a lot too, uh, when you throw in the incentives and the fact that they become to become in positions of leadership. The generalists get to be in positions of leadership, like site directors and things like that. It boils down to what you like. What do you like? Do you like patient interaction? Do you like working on actual protocols, um, dealing with monitors, or do you like numbers and databases and not dealing with patients ever? That's what it boils down to. That's that's a hard one to answer. Which have better scope? They both do. If you're talking about revenue potential, they both, you could earn multiple six figures in either role. Can you believe roles in pharmacovigilance? I actually don't know enough about this, Gitika. I would like to interview somebody who could help me, like do like a full 20-minute podcast on this. So anybody, any PV people out there, I'm getting a data manager person on, thanks to my last live stream. So maybe I can get a pharmacovigilance, somebody out there to kind of shed some light on this topic. Would love to interview. I know just very little, just the basics about these roles. Like I do, but I don't know. I can't go in depth. Brandon Wall, how's it going, man? BizDev is so crucial. A lot of sites have interest in working with home health. Mobile clinics. Yeah. Uh, sites have interest in doing what makes sense for their studies and for getting their studies. It's very simple for sites. Sites want that they can enroll patients in, and they want more patients. And then when they want to expand, they need more clinicians, whether they want to expand geographically or whether they want to expand therapeutically. They need more clinicians. And most sites are in expansion mode. Um, Even though oftentimes it's not successful, they at least have one site that's successful that can subsidize their expansion efforts. And this is why it's so important for you, if you're trying to get in, to figure out uh, exactly where you fit initially. Initially, you can have a long range goal too. I want to be a coordinator in 1 year. I want to be a CRA in 2 years. I want to do data management. It doesn't matter. Get your foot in the door. The easiest, most practical way is the site level. But they're not going to take you because you're awesome. Even if you're like a foreign doctor, they're not going to take you. You have to sell yourself. And selling yourself is not spamming your resume to like hundreds of inboxes. Although in a market like this, that might actually work. Uh, I felt like doing this. Rental properties texting me. So yeah, BizDev. Okay, so that we talked about how to get clinicians. First thing, LinkedIn, using just LinkedIn and the internet. Another easy thing you can do, and every site will say yes, is to go on clinicaltrials.gov and find studies that they can do and try to find the contacts for those studies and introducing them to the site. And so the site can give you like some numbers, some basic numbers of their database. Hey, this is, this is our database for this condition, this is our database for this condition, etc. They might even give you redacted access to their EMRs or something so you can do it yourself. And then all you got to do is go on clinicaltrials.gov, find those indications that they will do well, and email those contacts on clinicaltrials.gov introductions to the site and say, look, I'm the site liaison for Dr. So and so based in Tustin, California. This is our database. Please send CDA and feasibility, and I'll have the right person take care of it. Thank you very much. You do like 100 of those a week, you're going to get back 1 or 2 replies every week. Thank you, here's a CDA, or thank you, we're not interested now, but we'll keep your site's info for future studies. Sometimes that actually does work. It's not just a cop out on their end. It does actually work. Other times they'll just send you the CDA, like in time like 2021, they'll just send you the CDA. Yes. Else, guys? What else? What else? What else we got? I'm doing good. How are you doing? Big example of this. Like we documented, like I think it was a 7-part series, like every week. I think it took like 7 weeks. And she got multiple offers at that point. I applied for CRC, but now I'm a clinical triage, and honestly, I love it. Now I get to study all the trials and learning and comfortable with it every day. When I am ready for CRC, I will feel more comfortable. So once your foot in the door, passion will get you further. Exactly. And Evelyn's done a fantastic job of networking and demonstrating her value. I mean, this is an MA. She can do all the clinical stuff that's necessary in every study, right? She took our CRC Academy. She was one of the best students we've had. So she's demonstrated herself like on multiple fronts. She's also started branding herself by agreeing to come on the podcast and share her story. Not even like talk much about her skill set, just it comes through in the interviews. She started building her brand as well. So it's like forefront. She attacked this thing on 4 fronts. And I think that's something that everybody needs to do. Maybe not everybody needs to go on a podcast, although that wouldn't hurt. And I'm open to interviewing anybody who wants to. You got EM or clinical operations. Again, they're both very good. Um, the question is, what do you like to do? Uh, you can't just look at these things as salary because they both can be roughly the same. Like when you max out data management or ClinOps, it depends on what you like to do. Do you like to deal with sites and sponsors and CRAs? That's ClinOps. Do you like to deal just with databases and numbers and data? That's CDM. Which one do you prefer? They're both good. One of the past employers is not responsive to the new employer. My start date with a well-known CRO is being postponed every week. How do I deal with this situation? If you, I'm assuming you can try to call the uh, former employer. If for whatever reason you can't get a hold of them either, I would just document something and give it to like on a letterhead from you. Give it to your. I'm wondering if you have any proof that you were there, like pay stubs or W-2. Uh, Sometimes they're just trying to prove that you were there. Other times they're trying to find out how you performed there. That's a little more, you need somebody there. But another thing, if you were working like for, you said a well-known CRO, who was your line manager? Even if they're with another company, if you still have, this is why networking is important, maintaining relationships important, because whoever was your direct manager, even if they're at another company now, would still be a reference for you in situations like this. So was there a coworker, a line manager? Find a pay stubs. Find everything you can. If you got training and you did certain certificates for certain studies, get those. Get any kind of documentations you can. You're in research. It's all about documentation. Control what you can. Control. Worldwide Clinical Trials is a global CRO constantly hiring remote positions. Yep, yep. Regulatory and trial managers. Could you explain what the role of a clinical triage is? Yeah, Evelyn, we need to like have you on because that's a new one for me too. And you um later today. So I gotta run because there's something I gotta discuss regarding one of my properties. We're turning it to a rental. So the contractor's calling and they're very talk about supply and demand. Those guys are very tough to um, get a hold of. So Evelyn says, after work, I'll message you. Perfect. We're going to do an interview with Evelyn on what a clinical triage is. And I'm going to do another video later today. So thank you very much, Guru Nation. I'll catch you live soon. Take care.